Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Math with Evans News. So, in the last few episodes, we talked about a proof of the Pythagorean theorem, making a square out of four equal triangles. Here, let me adjust this one a little bit. Where essentially, we drew four triangles, one with height A, length B, connected with some length C. So this is, let's erase this. Adjust a little bit the thickness of my brush. A, B, connect it with another triangle of length B. I'm doing my best right here, guys, to make, these are not equal triangles, that's my bad. But a little addendum to my last proof, because somebody pointed out to me, you know who you are, that I never technically proved that the interior was itself a square. And that is absolutely true. So this is my terrible drawing, where technically all of these are supposed to be the same triangle. As you guys can see, they are definitely not. But imagine that they are. Imagine that they are. So all of these triangles that I drew, terribly, are indeed the same triangle, which is some fun stuff, I think. I'm going to turn my microphone down because it seems like it is very loud. So, what's going on? In the last episode, we proved this, but we technically never showed that this interior is itself a square. So we're going to do that really quickly. It's not that bad. Okay, so let's zoom in. We're going to zoom in to here. I'm going to make my brush much thinner. So remember that these are all going to be the same triangle. So this is going to be so they're all right triangles. So this is 90 degrees right here, 90 degrees right here, 90 degrees right here, and 90 degrees right here. So we proved that at least the exterior is itself a square. Whoopity-doo. Now, because this is a straight line right here on all the edges, this right here needs to be 180 degrees. This angle right here needs to be 180 degrees. This is true on all the sides. That all these angles have to be 180 degrees. So let's go ahead. Now that that's been established, that's just because these are straight lines. Whenever you have a straight line, the angle is 0 or 180 degrees, basically. 0 or 180. Some people are going to get mad at this statement, but, you know, sucks to suck. Alrighty. Now, what we are going to do is figure it out. So, let's talk about the angles on one of these triangles. We'll do this upside down one. So, this angle is 90. And remember that all the angles on a triangle, we'll call one angle theta. Why am I choosing gray? That's a terrible color. One angle phi. And we're just going to be crazy and call one angle smiley face. Needs to always equal 180 degrees. So we're going to call this angle right here theta. And this angle right here phi. Where theta plus phi plus 90 needs to equal 180 degrees. Or in other words, theta plus phi, if we subtract over the 90, equals 90 degrees. Wow, what a beautiful little thing that we have just shown. So let's talk about this. Now, because this triangle right here is B then A, and this one over here is A then B, if this angle is theta right here, that's going to be the angle between the hypotenuse and B. And this angle phi is the angle between the hypotenuse and A, right here. Then this angle right here needs to be phi. And this angle right here needs to be theta. And that same thing's going to happen with all the triangles, where this is going to go back to being phi, then theta, then phi, then theta. So remember that this whole arc right here needs to be 180 degrees. And that's what this whole arc needs to be. This one that I just drew needs to be 180 degrees. So that means we're just going to call this angle right here that we're going to pretend like we don't know. We're just going to call it omega. This angle between the corners of the shape, we will call it, since I never proved it was a square, that theta plus omega, or sorry, phi plus omega plus theta needs to equal 180 degrees, because this component is theta, this component is phi, and this component is omega. But remember, before we said that theta plus phi is equal to 90 degrees. So if we rearrange some stuff, theta plus phi plus omega equals 180 degrees. Well, remember, theta plus phi is 90. So 90 plus omega equals 180. Or omega equals 90 degrees. Yippee, we did it. We showed that this angle right here is going to be 90 degrees. And if you repeat that on every corner, you have 4 corners that are each 90 degrees. So therefore, we have ourselves a square, or at least a rectangle, but since all the sides are of side length C, we have ourselves a square in the interior. So that was for the individual who messaged me saying that I never proved that the interior was a square. This is for you. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.